Today we're going to combine our knowledge of combining like terms, order of operations, and solving for a variable. It all just kind of comes together. And there's not necessarily one way to do all of these, but if you use all that information, you can have some kind of loose rules and create the solution to each one of these. So if I had something like 4 times 2x minus 6 plus 2 is equal to 12. This is a lot more complicated than what we've done in the past. So I need to look at my x and then label everything according to order of operations. And eventually you'll get good enough at this, you won't need to label them anymore. But focusing in on this x, what's the first thing that happens to it? The multiply by 2. So that's kind of step 1. And then this would be step 2. What number comes next? The 4 is step 3. And then this would be step 4. To solve this, I need to peel apart the onion one layer at a time, starting with the outermost layer. The outermost layer is plus 2. How do I move a plus 2? Do the inverse operation. I subtract 2. And that gives me 4 times 2x minus 6 is equal to 10. Divide by 4. And it doesn't go in very nicely. What is 10 divided by 4? 2.5. So we'll say 2.5. Now we add 6 because that's the next step. And I get 2x equals 8.5. Divide by 2 again. And I get 4.25. And that's the solution. Okay? And this was kind of a complicated problem. I had 4 different steps. And if you do any step out of order, you're going to get the wrong answer. So I used my order of operations to come up with steps 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then I undid those steps. I pedaled backwards, starting 4, 3, 2, 1, and did the inverse operation for each of those. Okay? All right, what if I had 6 times 2x minus 3, and this will probably give us a really terrible answer, but whatever. Okay. So now I have x's on both sides, and that's a little bit of a problem. Okay. What would you guys do first? Well, I can't move the x's where they are now. I could divide by 2, and that's actually a really good idea. You might want to multiply those in, which is totally fine. But why would you divide by 2? If it was a 7, would you divide by 7? Why didn't you divide by 6? Yeah. It doesn't make sense to divide by 6 because 2 divided by 6 is 1/3, and that's a little bit of a problem. But Gracia looked up there and said, wait a minute. Instead of multiplying this 2 in, I'm going to divide by 2 because 6 over 2 simplifies to be a whole number. So that's actually a really good idea. If I multiply in by 2, is that okay? Yeah, I'll still get the right answer. It'll still work. And maybe let's change that to a 2. Then it'll make it a little bit better. Okay. So divide by 2. Well, no. You can do that one, Gracia. I get 12x minus 18. And here, what is 2 times x over 2? It's just x. And then 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. Now what do I do? Okay. I have like terms, but they're on opposite sides. And the goal here is get all of the variables on one side and all of the numbers on the other side. So I'm going to subtract x. Could I have moved the 12 to the right? Yeah, why did I choose not to do that? Yeah, I don't like to deal with negative variables. if I can avoid it. Sometimes you can't. But if I move the 12 to the right, then I would do x minus 12, which is negative 11. And I want to avoid negatives on the variables if I can. Okay. And then I'm going to move the 18 to the other side. And I get 11x equals, oh, this is a really nice one, 16. And now I can divide by 11. And I get x equals 16 11ths. That's what happens when you just make up a problem. Does that make sense? So we used our idea of simplification. We used our idea of moving things around. We used order of operations, and we also combined like terms. So everything we've done up until now will end up on this worksheet. Okay? Let me see what else. Okay. Now, this answer is probably going to be really terrible, but whatever. I'm just going to run with it. 2 times 3x minus 4 minus 4 times x minus 3 equals 6 times 4x plus 8. Okay? So I could start by multiplying in the 2 and the 4 and the 6. Okay? That will work. Does anybody see a way we can simplify this a little bit? Divide everything by 2. Okay? And am I allowed to divide this side by 2? As long as I divide the other side by 2. Okay? And 2 divided by 2 is 1. So I just get 3x minus 4. And then 2 going into the 4 is negative 2 times x minus 3. And then 3 times 4x plus 8. Okay, that just made things a little bit easier. Now, I'm going to simplify 3x minus 4. What happens when I put that in? Minus 2x plus. Does everybody see that? Negative 2 times x is negative 2x. Negative 2 times negative 3 is plus 6. Okay. Equals 12x plus 24. Now what? On the left side, I can combine like terms. 3x minus 2x is x, and negative 4 plus 6 is 2. And that's equal to 12x plus 24. Good. We're going to move the x. Oh my goodness. How about that? So I end up with negative 22 equals 11x. What are the chances? Now I divide by 11. Total fluke. Now that doesn't normally happen if you just randomly make up an equation. Okay. That will get you through the first page. Oh, there is only one page. Okay. Get to work.